All right, here we go. Get your appetite ready for Barber-Q Banter. From backyards to across the globe. Talking about techniques, recipes, and ideas. From novice to expert.
With your hosts, Mike Barber and Mr. Know-It-All.
It's time to make it low and slow, y'all. It's showtime.
Y'all. Is y'all Texas drawl? Y'all?
Oh, you're doing that strong, brother.
Because you were doing that in the
Y'all.
intro. It's low and slow, y'all.
Oh, shit. I got a toothpick here for the near future of the show that we're going to eat some brisket, I think.
I think so. I need to be taller.
Why do you need to?
I'm short in this now.
You got a problem?
That's okay. I'll be short today.
Self-conscious a little bit, aren't you?
I am, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love your shirt, buddy.
Yeah, my NASCAR shirt.
NASCAR.
Big NASCAR fan. So.
Cool. Cool.
Hey, so we're doing brisket today.
What's on the barbecue menu?
Big brisket thing today.
I love it.
So let's talk a little bit about brisket.
Yes.
This is actually our take two on this show.
Let me move the fork.
And I'm only saying that because this plate was full of brisket when we first started, and we've been eating it. So this is like take two. It's okay. We might have to take three, and then we'll
gaining a couple of pounds there, Hoss. I know, eh?
Okay, so this is
great.
This is kind of interesting. You know, I mean, we're doing a Texas style brisket, and it's kind of interesting because you look at the heritage of brisket itself. Mm-hmm. It's very, very ingrained. I can't talk. Ingrained into the Jewish holiday.
Right. Okay. I believe everything you're telling me here, Mike.
And a lot from Europe. So, for example,
Europe.
Like in England, for example, they call it brisket.
So they got brisket in England?
And then in Texas.
Darn it, I didn't know that.
Texas, it came from German heritage and Czechoslovakian heritage, which is more the central part of Texas, from a lot because they used to have a lot of meat packing plants.
Whoa, stop there, my friend. You're talking to me some German and Czechoslovakia people are down in Texas that developed this?
Well, even the people in Texas aren't actually from the country, but I'm just saying.
Boy, that's going to hurt some Texas boys' feelings, I tell you.
Indigenous people
they thought they were Texas all the way, 100,000%.
Indigenous
You're
people
kidding
were
me.
first. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
so we got Czech Texas, and we got German Texans down there that started this way back.
But mind you saying that, like this is back in the 19th century.
Okay.
But it has evolved from there down in big Texas.
Right.
The brisket. So that's
wow.
what we're doing. So
a little bit of knowledge there, Biz.
A little bit for everybody.
Love it.
So why don't we play the video on how to make your own brisket, and then we're going to talk after. And at the end, you'll actually get a link that you can look up for the recipe.
Yes.
So
let's do it. We're setting up a beautiful 22-pound Texas brisket. So what we've done so far is we've trimmed it to begin with, and then of course we marinated it. The marination, what I like to do is add a little bit of garlic injected in each piece. I've cut up about 7-8 cloves of garlic in smaller pieces and just put them in various areas of this brisket. So we have over here the tip or the flat part, which I've cut off, and then of course the main brisket itself. As well as doing that, I've injected it with a beef broth, so it's going to come out beautiful. My spices, being Texas, is coming down to a very coarse cracked black pepper, and then we have a kosher coarse salt, and then for the binder, and a lot of people have thoughts on this, but basically mustard is going to be rubbed all over this brisket, and then of course these spices are going to be put on, along with, if I may add, it's one of my favorites, and you can put whatever you guys want on it, but I choose to put a little bit of espresso coffee in there on top of my brisket, combined with the salt and pepper. But basically, it's been trimmed. It's been marinating for 24 hours. I'm about to unwrap it, and then we're gonna pat it dry so get all the moisture off of it. That's very important, especially if you want the smoke to adhere into the brisket. And you don't want to overpower the rub on it. Again, putting too much rub on this brisket when you put it in the smoker, the smoke will not penetrate into the meat. Now, you can use a binder also as an oil. I've done that in the past, but I prefer a mustard, and you do not taste it at all. It pretty well burns itself off. I'm gonna put these on the racks, just like that. Nice and right about there. How's about that? It's one thing I want to point out though, when you put meat on a rack, whether it's your pulled porks, shoulders, or whatever have you, in this case, my brisket, I want to push all the meat together. That way it doesn't dry out in the smoker. You know, I've already injected it with a beef broth, so that's fantastic for moisture content, and it'll hold, and hopefully the juices just run out once this is all said and done and finished. And basically, I'm going to set the smoker at around 200 on a very low smoke. A lot of people like the 225 or a high heat. I do it low and slow. Is watch my temperature with these bad boys. I've got my probes here, and I'll just grab one here to show you. Now, the probe itself, make sure that you put it in the thickest part of the meat, and in my tip and flat here, I'm going to inject it right about there, so that way it's got good temperature in the middle, so I'll know when it's hitting that 165 internal temperature before I'm about to wrap these afterwards. Next thing hopefully I show you is the bark that's going to develop from the smoke on these bad boys, and then we're going to wrap it in a butcher paper and then let it go to about a 200 to 203 internally, and then we'll show you that in a few minutes. Well, in a few hours, I should say. And smoker tubes can be bought on Amazon. As I said before in one of my previous videos, this goes for about 2.5 hours. You can get the half size. These are 12-inch. And then the 6-inch will go maybe an hour or so. But as you can see, basically I'm running 2 smoker tubes for my brisket. On my blend, I'm running a Traeger gourmet blend. Now the gourmet blend from Traeger basically has some maple, hickory, cherry. And then I'm running some hickory over here just to make it a little bit stronger on the hickory end of it. And I'm going to show you how I light these. Fairly easy. Of course, getting a torch like this, get a good flame. And all you're going to do is basically the very top opening where you put the pellets in is basically turn this up a bit. Get that nice and hot. And then you're going to see a flame's going to start to appear here. And then, of course, if I was to let this flame go out, thus, you have the smoke. Mr. Know-It-All.
What?
Come on over and try some of my Texas brisket. I'm about to pull it up here, and maybe I could teach you something. You ready for this?
Yes.
Texas brisket. I can't wait.
What are you getting 2 coolers? Like, holy cow.
It's a big brisket, 22 pounds. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. This is great. Holy shit! My car keys.
Oh, you needed those.
What the hell? Oh my God. Lisa's gonna be happy. I've been giving her shit, and I thought she put it away.
Oh well, absent-minded.
Found them.
All right, let's get to it.
All right. No, really, there is a Texas brisket in here besides car keys.
It's like wrapped in what?
Oh, this is wrapped in butcher paper, pink butcher paper. A lot of people might use tin foil. Look at this drippings coming off the bottom.
We'll get a close-up.
The hard
here.
work is paying off. And look at the bottom of that.
Hang on.
That's some bark. That's what people want on your beautiful brisket. And the trick is, whenever you're slicing a brisket, you know, the grain runs a certain way on every piece of meat. And the brisket, you try to look for it, even with the bark, it's hard to find. And hopefully I'm doing this right. But I'm assuming the way my brisket was cooked and the way it looks with the bark on it, that the grain's running this way, so I'm going to cut against the grain. And the whole reason for that is that whenever you're pulling or chewing onto this brisket,
you want it to pull apart very gently. And that's why you cut against the grain.
Yeah, so it's pretty typical for most meats.
Exactly.
Except I have a problem when you call it bark. I know it's bark, but it's just, for me, amateur.
I hear you.
It's like, there's a dog down there.
Okay.
So, go Bart.
All right, here we go. You ready?
Yeah.
All right.
And hopefully he's chosen the right way.
Come in real close here if you could, Mike, just to show you how beautiful. Look at the color on that. Now that's what you want when you're finished brisket. Look at the, and then, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you can see the juices flowing.
Oh yeah.
That is amazing the way this turned out. So I can't wait for a bite, Mike. What about you?
Absolutely.
So here we go. Try this bad boy right here. Mmm.
No, wrong way.
Hey, buddy.
You're supposed to turn the other way, and then I would steal one. Describe it.
Mmm. It's hard to describe, but I'm enjoying it too much. I've been loving this.
Yeah, it's got a real deep flavor.
It's got a good smoke flavor.
Oh yeah. Actually, after you have a couple of chews of it,
Yeah.
you start to notice the smoke flavor. You don't notice that right away, and you notice how much juice is in it.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it's really good.
And you know what? A lot of people, when they show up at these barbecue shacks or the festivals and all that, and pulled pork goes so much for half a pound or a sandwich and all that. When it comes down to brisket, it's almost double because of the amount of work that goes into this, Mike.
You know what's amazing too about this?
What's that?
Is
I love the bark area.
even if you don't have the bark area,
Yeah.
you can really taste everything on the inside. A lot of times, if you're cooking chicken or whatever, it's usually the outside that you taste most of the flavor.
Yeah.
But there's an amazing amount of flavor on the inside.
Mike, one thing I've learned over the years, especially when I lived down in Texas, is that a lot of people will throw, when they start barbecuing, they'll throw 7, 8 different rubs on there. And you got to keep it simple. The KISS system. As I said, the Texas that I'm used to is just the salt and pepper. And again, I added the espresso coffee to this. I didn't go into 4 or 5 different spices overall.
And I haven't
It's addictive, isn't it?
It's really good. And I haven't crunched down on any keys either, so that's even better. That you were left in there from before. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, you know what's really interesting too is
What's that?
there's not a lot of extra salt flavor. Like some people over salt things,
Right.
and it's not.
And on that point, Mike, I want to make somebody else understand. Lisa's not a big pepper person. Lisa is not a big pepper person, my girlfriend. And whenever a brisket or a pulled pork that's got a rub on the outside, and once it goes into the smoker, Mike, it basically burns off. So you get very little pepper. This is caked with coarse pepper, but it doesn't taste peppery.
Does she mind the peppery flavor?
Oh, she can't do this. She has to do straight meat and not the bark, because she tastes the little bit of pepper in any way.
I mean, you can really taste the pepper. It's interesting how the pepper is more prevalent over the salt.
Yes.
So.
And that's a 50-50 mix. And that's kosher, coarse salt.
Yeah.
Very kosher. I don't know. I'm sorry with my mouth full here.
It's really
But
good. It's amazing flavor.
There you have it. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Texas brisket.
Wow.
And I'll add the recipe of my version to this segment. That way you guys can sit down and please, like and subscribe. Send in all your questions, right, Mike?
Yeah, yeah.
Send in every question you have. I'll be glad to see. I'm not always right. It's my opinion on how to make it. It's a science. Everybody has their version.
You know what's amazing about this too is
that?
the after flavor. Like I'm still tasting it.
Yes.
From, whatever a minute from the last time that I had some.
I'm ready to grab some really good buns, some good mustard, or even barbecue sauce, and just pour that on.
Even more. We got flies in
We
Bailey.
got flies everywhere. Yeah, they're coming. They're not touching this brisket, I tell you. Kill that fly.
Kung Fu. No,
I know.
No, it's what is the Karate Kid, right? No, when he catches it with the chopsticks. Can't do that.
Yeah. So there you have it.
That's good stuff, man.
Glad everybody enjoyed it. Well, there it is, my friends.
Hey, you're being covered by paper.
I am. Big Butcher paper. Pink butcher paper. What?
I'm just watching the audio with the video, and we have a problem.
Hey?
If you watch it.
Yes.
Are you okay?
Yes. I'm fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways.
It just looked like it was on. It was like something when you're doing a podcast, you have to synchronize the equipment.
Oh.
And
I
I'm
see what
just
you're
watching
talking
it
about.
and wondering if it's actually in sync or not.
Okay.
Who cares? We're gonna keep going. Okay.
Yes.
So we have bibs on because we're gonna.
We look like little. I don't know how to say the right one. You know those films that you. How you doing?
Oh, we're at
Oh. Yes, that's what we got our bibs on.
I have to use a fork.
You know, you can take your fingers.
You
eat
eat it, and so what we're going to do now is we're going to talk about different segments. Trimming the meat. We're going to talk about how to do the rub itself, and we're going to talk about butcher paper, the differences, and a little bit more on the smoker, and sort of the resting process for all this as well. So, and like I said, we're going to throw the attachment in for the recipe at the end. So, oh, crunchy! You're making noise over there. It's like wrapping paper. You got to watch this. Okay, I'm taking this off.
I don't do a big belch.
It's making noise.
Okay, enough of that. Well, not really.
Okay, so start off by talking about trimming the meat.
Trimming the meat, y'all. Let me show you a couple of pictures first. And I don't know if I can get to them, but I'll give it a try. So right here, you see, well, the breakdown on the brisket before you... There's the point, the flat that everybody can see at home. And then, of course, that is not the fat cap. The fat cap is underneath. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But on this side of it, you're dealing with any skin, and a lot of them call it the silver skin. You want to see the meat throughout that top part right there where the flat and the point is coming up. And there's a big... On this side...
Hey, why don't you show us on the screen instead of pointing off screen?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Like, it's right...
Oh, right here. There we go. There. Down below.
American. This is like... This is Canadian.
On the
I won't tell you what
bottom.
that means.
Am I over here? Okay.
Keep going. Come on.
On the bottom. Anyways, that is the silver skin on top you take off, and the fat cap on the bottom, which I'm about to show you, you just want, and I'll try to get that come up. Oh, here we are. So there's the fat cap, Mike. Mm-hmm. And you see how I do the same thing here. I even leave a 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch. And the reason I'm doing that is when it's cooking in the smoker, you want all that fat to render down into the meat for flavor. And I even scour it, as you can see some scouring marks on the meat. And with the spices getting in there, the smoke getting in between all of that, and then some, and the fat rendering, voila, as I always say in French.
Hey, I noticed you have two pictures up there at the same time.
I do?
Yes.
Yes, I do. Let's go to picture number 3. Okay. Oh, sorry. Let me go back to where you wanted to go, which was...
Well,
then you rub it.
Yeah.
That's what she said. Anyways, the rub. Michael?
Yeah, go ahead. So talk about the process of doing the rub itself. So I know that you talked before.
Right.
Is you put on our picture here.
Yeah.
You have to put the mustard on first.
There.
Right?
Yes.
And then with the
mustard is your binder.
Okay. One
thing at a time here. Mustard is your binder. You don't put much on. You're just putting it on like you're putting suntan lotion on yourself. Very lightly so that it just adheres to the skin. Very little amount of mustard. Mm-hmm. You can put it in oil. You get a crisper skin. Some people will use it oil. And then as a binder, when you add your spices, the salt and pepper in Texas style, it'll attach itself to the mustard.
Okay, so describe that. So basically you've got the rub on there, which is the binder. It sort of makes everything stick.
Yes.
And then what do? You sprinkle on your pepper?
Yeah, your 50-50 mix I mentioned in...
Okay, so it's already pre-mixed, right?
Yes.
So you go ahead and mix that on.
That's right.
So that goes on next?
Yes.
And then sometimes...
Coarse salt and a coarse pepper.
Right. And then the last part is sometimes you like to put on...
Oh, you guys can put it wherever you want. In the video, I mentioned, I think, the coffee, espresso coffee, a little bit of garlic, whatever you guys want to do. Some people prefer other spices.
Okay, so after you have them on, you sprinkle on, do you have to pat it down?
Yeah, you got to make sure that adheres to that mustard or to that oil, as the binder I was mentioning.
So that's our picture right there of it all set to go. And nice.
Ready to go in the smoker.
And all the mess you made, everything falling off, which
I
is
know.
really cool. Okay, so the next part after that is you've done the trimming meat, the rub. You've got you can show the one on the smoker because we're going to talk a little bit more about the smoker itself. So there's your smoker.
There's the smoker
with your probes in it.
She's in there and they're probed.
Now, there's another stage that you had talked about after. There's a certain cooking temperature, and with that as well.
Yes.
So why don't you explain the cooking temperature in between? You got a chart.
Okay, the chart. Let's see if I can. There's the chart. I did this one right, Mike. Okay. So everybody on the left-hand side, you see your Fahrenheit chart. Celsius, Fahrenheit. I'm old school. It's basically brisket, no matter what size you have. Well, it all depends on the size, but the bottom line is this. You've got what you call the stall, right?
Okay.
Because I'm not like stalling your car here. Anyways, the brisket will stall at a certain temperature. Usually it's between 150 to about 170. And everybody gets worried because it could stall for hours. Right. Sometimes an hour, sometimes 3. But the point is, it stalls. Don't get worried. At that point, when it hits the stall, I'll pull it out, and then I'll wrap it up in the good old butcher paper.
Versus,
oh, well, we'll put a sub note to that.
Wait, you
versus,
do, wait, you
no,
do,
no, no.
No, this is
Go ahead.
This is different than putting on your aluminum foil hat to ward off invaders from other planets.
Exactly.
This is butcher paper works better.
Well, bottom line is, when you're wrapping it up with butcher paper versus tinfoil will cause more moisture inside the cavity when the brisket's wrapped, thus causing the brisket to get moist. You have potentially the bark falling off or getting too wet, not drying, getting somewhat firm on the outside of the brisket. With butcher paper, moisture will come out a little bit, not too much, just enough to say, hey, I'm still cooking inside and the moisture's not affecting my bark.
Gotcha.
You know, and that's basically it. After it goes back in, one more thing. After it goes back in, all wrapped up in my butcher paper, I'll raise my temperature from the 220 to 225 Fahrenheit, and I'll raise it to 250 to 275. Because now the brisket's been smoked for a few hours, wrapped up, and ready to go for that final number of, I'm pulling mine at 198 to 200.
Internal temperature.
Internal temperature. Gotcha. Once it hits that, pull it out, ladies and gentlemen.
After you pull it out
of
the smoker.
Yes.
I'm being very delicate with my words.
I know, you better watch it because it can get dirty here.
Do you have to let it sit very much like a turkey before you just dive in?
Good reference, Mike.
Because
Good
a turkey, after you cook a turkey can't talk, oh my God. It's if you cut it really quick, the steam comes out.
That's right.
So you lose a lot of the moisture content.
Yeah. Turkey, steaks, or anything like that, you want to cover them up. And you're exactly right. So on that note, you know, I take with the butcher paper still on it, I'll wrap it up in towels. I go to the extreme. I put it in my small cooler, nice and tight, very little air cavity left in the cooler. And then I let it sit in there 2 hours minimum. Sometimes I'll let it go for 4 or 5 hours because that temperature will rise another 2 to 3 degrees to get that optimum of 203. Try not to go past the 203. 203. 203 is the magic number. 201 to 203. Yeah. And then I'll pull it out and slice it and eat and eat and eat. Like we're doing
like
today. Hey, my turn. My turn. I got. This one's got lots of bark on it.
This plate was full. It's really, really nice. So
we got to do this more often, bro. Yeah. This is so good.
So okay, so that's really your take on brisket. Now, if you want to take that one picture off.
Oh, sorry.
Yes. Then we're ready to go for what we're going to do next, which is really just a teaser for the next show.
Yes.
We have been going out to food trucks, going to Taunton Taco, where we had tacos, and we talked to them about their food.
Man, they've got some incredible food.
And they
load up those tacos, bro.
Why are we frozen?
They weigh a ton.
The screen is frozen, Mike.
Oh.
What are you doing over there?
I don't know. What's going on here?
Try going to live.
Okay. Andre.
So
taco.
Taco.
Yes.
Andre. We shouldn't have these on.
I know.
We should
on taco. When we show that full clip, that full segment on that, we're gonna do something Mexican.
Mexico.
I love it.
All right, Mexico, man.
can't wait.
Play the clip for Taco Land.
I shall do it. Food truck, road trip. Yippee-ki-yay, let's do it.
All righty, man. Yes, we get to go visit people, see how they barbecue,
Road
get the
trip,
recipes,
road
if
trip,
we can
road
steal
trip,
them.
road
And
trip.
then Mike has driven away and left me. He's so excited sometimes, and he just leaves. It's just, Mike.
Okay, talk away.
All right.
It's doing it. So,
All
Aaron,
right.
what are we putting in these tacos?
We are putting some cheese.
So, like a marble cheese, eh?
Yeah, so I put like it's like a Tex-Mex mixed cheese.
Love the word Tex-Mex.
Yeah. Okay. And I put some pico on top, and I usually make this fresh in the morning, so I just do a little
Fresh is
on
always
top.
nice.
Yeah.
Wow. So Time Tacos is really, it's fantastic. So in the 8 years we've been coming, it's probably one of the better trucks that are here. I'm going to say one of the better trucks in Durham, probably.
Now. All right.
We're back.
End of the next show.
Oh, check out that tacos there segment. I can't wait.
Yeah,
I can't wait. They weigh a ton. I can't say that enough. They load up their tacos, and they're well worth every penny.
Nice stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
Next show.
Peace. We'll
Thanks,
see you guys next time. Thanks for watching, eh? Don't forget to subscribe. We'd love that. Thank you. Cheers.